What's up, gamers? EGX Enforcer 5150 here, and we are back to go ahead and get a deeper dive into the ray tracing in the new Modern Warfare 2019, their new remake or whatever you want to call it. But it looks amazing. It's the best way I can explain it right now. I've been playing the heck out of this game, but right now we're in 4K, and we have a ray tracing enabled. Everything is maxed out. What we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at 1080p, 1440p, and 4K with ray tracing on and off, and we're going to see what kind of performance we're getting and see what the ray tracing is actually doing this time. The first few things we want to point out is that it's not the same as like Battlefield was, where you get like ray tracing with reflections. We're looking more at shadows, mostly the shadows and the lighting. Like if you look here and you look at the reflection, it's just showing a rasterized reflection, and it just thinks, okay, there's a light there, and that's why it looks like just a light. You know, if you look in there, you know, you're not actually seeing that. So let's go ahead and take a look at this same part without ray tracing, just so we know what we're looking at. So you'll notice that it's pretty much the same. See, now you'll see that it's exactly the same. There's no difference as far as the reflections go. So just remember that with ray tracing, with this one is, or with here, there's no reflections or anything. We're only going to be looking at shadows. So let's go ahead and take a look over here. Now you'll see that the shadow is, you know, just straight. You know, this is with ray tracing off. And now if we go ahead and turn it on here, now you'll see that that same shadow is a lot softer. I mean, not a lot softer, but you can tell that it's, you know, it's trying to actually look more like a shadow, you know, where it kind of builds off. Only thing I don't like is that you don't see your own shadow. Like you can see how it's, you know, trying to understand where the shadow is, you know, kind of like a blur. That part I don't like. It's supposed to just fall off, like, you know, how a shadow would. So I don't know why they have it like that. I think it's trying to use the deep learning. I don't know for sure. I didn't look into the actual specs. But let's go ahead and look deeper into what's going on here. When you're going through here, this is with ray tracing on, and you can kind of tell that, you know, the shadows that everybody's walking through, or that shows, I mean, it looks amazing. I mean, this looks great. You know, you can kind of see that, you know, the shadows are, you know, just kind of trying to fall off, but like I said, it kind of like it's trying to learn. Okay, let's go ahead and take a actual look into the shadows now. All right, so now we're taking a look just at the performance first, and we can see that it's definitely running a little bit over 60 frames per second. And we're losing about 3 frames per second because we're using shadow play. I tried using the capture card, and I'm having a problem with it having some choppiness in there. But you can see here that, you know, it's running pretty good. I mean, when you get into more detailed areas, obviously it goes down a little bit, but more on average, you're getting about 57 with everything maxed out on ultra, and there's no quality settings in the ray tracing, so you just have one setting there. All right, so blowing it up to about 600%, you can see here that it's definitely running ray tracing exactly how we expect. And you can see that, you know, the shadow is kind of, you know, on the left where ray tracing's on. You can see that the shadow is falling off, and then on the right where ray tracing's off, it's, you know, just a direct shadow that it's been, you know, put together. It's just, it's painted there. It's edgy. Not edgy, but you know what I mean. You know, it doesn't really have a fall off of the shadow, so it's definitely looks a lot better, more realistic. Let's go ahead and try another resolution. So we're just going to take quick looks at the FPS on these other resolutions. 1440p, you can see that we're getting, you know, around 94 frames per second with ray tracing on, and then we get about 122 with it off, and that's kind of, you know, it's a little steep. It's getting steeper, but you're still getting over 60 frames per second, and I think that's what they're kind of looking at in terms of if you want to use this or not. But in, you know, single player, definitely I'd like to keep it on for, you know, more of the immersion and realism. In PvP, not so much. Anyway, here we go with 1080p, and as you can see, you know, like 117, 115 to 148-ish. But that is about, if I was to guess, about 20% loss in FPS. You're going to lose FPS. And I look at it like if you turned on an enhanced anti-aliasing or something like that, you're going to lose some, you know, FPS, you know, performance to get, you know, a better visual look. You know, it's not going to be obviously high, but that's not bad in 1080p with the RTX 2080 Ti, and that's not bad at all. And this is on the i9 9900K, so it's actually pretty good, but you are losing about 20% in single player. It's not too bad. Now let's just take a look at each one of these real quick. And when you look at them side by side here, you can definitely see that, you know, 1080p is definitely the way to go if you have a 144 hertz monitor, because you get your full, you know, effect, your full frames per second and everything. You know, in 1440p, you're getting under that 144 hertz, and then with 2160p, you're definitely under that. But if you have a 60 hertz monitor, you can pretty much do it in, you know, 2160p. Maybe turn down some of your graphics, and you can always get over 60 frames per second if it really bothers you to go down, you know, 3 frames. All right, so we're just going to take a look at some of the gameplay here of how it goes in, like, actually moving instead of just my analysis of what it looks like in one spot. And you'll see that, you know, it definitely drops down, and you get, you know, a little bit less than what you want. I was playing with a controller here because it was connected to a TV at the time that I did all this recording. But as far as the performance goes, if you want to take advantage of your monitor getting over, you know, 144, you're definitely going to have to drop down to 1080p, or, you know, drop down some of the other settings if you want to use shadows or ray trace shadows and lighting. But the lighting looks great. I mean, because it's not only just the shadows that it's using, it's bouncing the light. You know, it bounces off each surface. You can see it, you know, on the weapon and everything as I start moving between stuff. Where it really shines is in a spot that's coming up. We're gonna go switch to that now. All in all, I'm quite impressed with the graphics on this one. I mean, that's why I wanted to do a review on it. That's why I bought the game. Aside from, I do like this game a lot better than what was that? Black Ops 4. Yeah, I play Black Ops 4, but I mostly like the zombies and everything like that. There's no zombie mode in this one. That I'm not that keen about. But yeah, if we look in here, you can definitely see, you know, how the lighting, ray tracing, and shadows really shine. You know, soft shadows around every corner. You can see, like, the light bouncing off back of dude's head onto the small things like the containers and stuff like that. And that just really adds to the realism and, you know, just the overall immersion to the game. You know, when you're playing in PvP, you're not really worried too much about, you know, how it looks that much. I mean, yeah, you want it to look good. You know, you don't want to be, you know, Counter-Strike Source looking, you know, from, you know, late 90s, early 2000s. But you do, you know, want to see, you know, some decent graphics, and that's what we like. But when you're in PvP, you definitely want to get more frames per second. And yeah, I mean, this is a way to definitely get some immersion when you play the campaign mode. You can use it in PvP though. That is the good thing, is that you can still get over 60 frames per second. You can still use it in PvP, and it'll be all right. Like in 1440p, you've seen that, you know, we're getting 112, 115 frames per second. So right there, that is definitely what we want to have in, you know, PvP. I mean, we want to be around 120. That's my sweet spot. I mean, it's going to be different for everybody else. I know a lot of people, it was 144 is their minimum. They just don't feel right with it under 144 frames per second. But I can't say the same for myself. I think it's about 120 for myself that I start noticing, you know, the more fluidness of the screen and monitor and everything. But yeah, man, this game is crazy good looking. I mean, Activision did a great job, man. What can we say, you know? Anyway, that is it. We have no more time left today. We are going to try to get some more with the RTX 2080 as well and get some benchmarks or gameplay performance at least. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think of this game. What do you think of the ray tracing? What do you think overall? Did Activision do good this time? I mean, or are you on a different boat than I am? I've been playing it way too much, and I literally have so many things to do that it's really bad news for me. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching this video. Make sure you hit that like button and definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel. You all take care and happy gaming.